if you're not intentional about your life and constantly focusing on what you want to happen next, your subconscious will bring out what you're subconsciously asking for. So you have to consciously know what you're asking for and call it in, because otherwise your subconscious will call it. And that's how people, kind of the rich get rich and the poor stay poor, because like it's that subconscious, like you're creating these things without really knowing it. So no one's ever at fault for bad things that happen, but it's because what you don't know, you don't know.
Hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan, and this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And I've got some questions for you. Do you feel like you need to get back to source at some point? Or do you feel like you've been just kind of figuring out healing and you're still kind of lost? Well, today we've got author Justin Shaw, and he is also a mystical dealer and many other things, but I don't want to get too far into it without letting him introduce himself some. So, Justin, how are you doing today?
I am doing very good, Keegan. Yeah, good to be here, there, everywhere. Magic of the internet.
Good to be part of the internet, huh?
Yeah, good stuff.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Like, what is your book about, first of all?
Yeah, so, thanks for having me on. So the book, itself is, I like to call it kind of a map for healing. It is a map to have. I had an extreme experience about 4 years back that I can only refer to as my bliss attack. So it's very similar to what one would consider a panic attack if you replace panic with love. And it was an onslaught of incredible feelings and emotions. I've done every drug in the book, and nothing compared to this. And it was just a continuation on for 3 hours. And at the same time, I'm in this love energy. I'm also getting downloads kind of from the universe. And I'm realizing that in this moment that I have been on airplane mode my whole life. And I realized that vast majority in the 90s something percentile is also on airplane mode. And I think all children are off airplane mode, and sometime in, the 7, 8, 9 range, they start listening to society and they start saying, girls are supposed to be this and boys are supposed to be that, white people do this, black people do that, and they start becoming, that mold, and airplane mode is now engaged. Well, that you can turn it off, and it's pretty amazing when it happens. And so this is essentially kind of a map I created to have your own bliss attack and to get off airplane mode. And so this was kind of the assignment I was given. And so I'm very excited to have, the book done and out there. I haven't even been out that long, 5 or 6 months, and just trying to get it out there and create kind of awareness that this experience is open to anybody. I like to say I'm very special, but I'm not unique. And in any way, I am not unique in any way, and anyone can have this experience. And that's what this is. And it's called Sorcery, but it's not about, wizards and magic wands, and, you can leave your hooded robes in the closet for the next Harry Potter convention. It's not about that kind of sorcery. I'm not guaranteeing you're going to be Merlin or Gandalf. But if you want to be Merlin or Gandalf, this is where your energy has to be in the right spot. So this is where to start. So Sorcery, I spelled with a U. So source is in source energy. And when I had this bliss attack, I connected to this field of energy that surrounds us at all times. And it is called source energy. And it's the quantum field, the unified field, the Akashic field. There's lots of names for it.
Yeah.
And it is, and that is that airplane mode. It's that Wi-Fi signal that all of a sudden starts coming in, and all the messages start coming in. And so explaining source energy to a human is like explaining water to a fish. So it's a little bit, it's everything, but at the same time, how difficult is the fish going to have understanding what water is? Like, it's everything, as you move because you breathe because of it, and the fish is kind of going to be like, I don't get it, so that is what source energy is. And if you're able to connect to that field, to all of a sudden get on that Wi-Fi signal, the brain does not store information. It is the receiver that connects to this field. And once you kind of connect to it, now you've got access to any information that ever was or ever will be. And so that is how this book came to be, from a very, like a C+ student in school, and, a former drug addict, like, all these things these kind of labels I took on that, are not who I am. And discovering who I am is how this whole thing came to be. So that's kind of the long and short of it.
Fair enough. I mean, that sounds really deep and impactful. And one of the things that I'd love to explore with it too is the addiction aspect, because that's what Retrieving Sanity was born from, as well as it was a mission pretty much given to me by my higher powers, if you will. And so I was like, all right, well, here we are, we're doing it. And it has brought about some really crazy things. And so I can only imagine what your mission, like you were saying, has brought about for you and your worlds, because it's very strange how everything just kind of lines up in some ways, right? Once you start hitting the things on the head, especially whenever we're talking about recovery, right? Because things just kind of start lining up somehow.
Yeah, no, and I am, it's important for people to understand, like, there's sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is someone that will, listen to your pain, whereas empathy, someone that feels it with you. So
yeah,
I have been through the ringer when it comes to the American medical, field. So it's, addiction, depression, anxiety, ADD, these are all, things that, kind of things that we, labels that we put on people that, really there's one root cause, and that root cause is spiritual bankruptcy. And there's one thing for everything. And that's where it comes from. Any disease labeled as chronic, you start at the spirit, because that's where it is. So, and it's just a bad mouth, the medical community here. And, it's when you have an injury, I like to compare it. So when you have an acute injury, so I fall off a ladder and there's a bone sticking out of my arm. This is not a great time for like meditation, like it's not really, acupuncture is not the appropriate thing to do in that moment, right?
Yeah.
Like that there. So these holistic things have a place, but doctors also have a place. So you go to the doctor, you get it set. Well, after it gets set and the doctor does their thing, well, now it is the body that heals itself. What made the body heals the body. So the important thing to understand about trauma and addiction and depression and anxiety and all these things is we have to learn how to set the emotional/spiritual bone and let the body heal itself. And that's what this is all about, is learning how to, because the medical community doesn't have a clue. It is the mind, body, spirit connection. They are never going to include the spirit in that. You're not going to go to a doctor, with your emotional problems, and he's not going to say, he's going to give you a bottle of pills to leave with every time. It's like, you're not going to leave a psychiatrist's office without pills. He's not going to sit there and say, well, what it sounds like is maybe your chakras are out of line, and maybe seeing a shaman is a better way to go. That's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. No, so we have to educate ourselves that there are other ways to do things, that, the holistic thing is kind of, like including all forms of healing. And, it's with our Western mind is just like, oh, that's just a bunch of hooey witch doctor bullcrap. It's not. It's really not. And to set that emotional bone, that emotional spiritual bone, and allow the body to heal itself is it feels incredible. And I've been doing it, and there's no healed, right? I'm not going to sit here and say I'm healed. It's always healing. But holy crap, have I come a long way. Like, I have spent nights on park benches and in jails and rehabs and halfway houses, and oh my gosh, like, to be on the other side of that is incredible. So the kind of the map, I was in AA for a long time, and it can be helpful, but it also can be disempowering. So there's a dichotomy of everything. And, like, religion especially is something that can be extremely helpful to people, but it can also destroy people. And two things can be true at once.
Yes, sir.
So, AA it helped me at times, and there are times when it wasn't so helpful. So, but I used that kind of this 12 steps, and I was like, I saw something that did help people, but I felt like it's very rigid. It's one step, two step. You do them in order. You don't go out it. It's very religion. AA is essentially disguised Christianity, which is a very strict, do it this way. This is the only way. This is the only way you're going to do it. There is no healing outside of this way. And I don't believe that at all. So I created, instead of 12 steps, well, moving forward is good, but moving up is better, because a bird has a better perspective on things than a worm. So I created 13 rungs. And so it's kind of climbing higher. They're very fluid. You can move in between them. They're not rigid steps. And so you just kind of climb higher. and get a better perspective on life in general. And so, and there's 13 for a very specific reason, because immediately the first rung is shadow work, which is our shadows, is that side of us that is made up of all of our limiting beliefs, all of our trauma. You're obviously familiar with it. And that shadow, the shadow is the reactor, the sorcerer is the responder. So immediately 13, I want people to start thinking about their limiting beliefs, because the number 13 is not, we think it's unlucky to the point where we don't have 13 floors in hotels, which is ridiculous. I mean, there is a 13th floor, but we call it the 14th floor, and it's just, and it's silly, because the number 13, it is not unlucky, and it is actually a number associated with divine and is very lucky. And in tarot, it's associated with death, rebirth, and transformation, which is what sorcery is all about. So immediately, I want people to start thinking about truths they hold close to their heart that may not actually be true. And that's something that has helped me immensely with that Bliss attack, is starting to deconstruct, especially in particular Christianity, that put these beliefs inside my head and my heart that simply aren't true. So yeah, that's kind of that's kind of how it's set up, is that's the map.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's great to speak to someone that has such a broad view of things, because you're very in line with me and my line of thinking with everything recovery based. So it's really cool that you've gone and established something like this to where other people are able to sit there and follow in your footsteps as well. And I actually got you may not be able to see it too well.
I can see it. Yeah, I can't tell. Yeah. I can't read it, but I can see it. Yep.
Oh, it's the death card. This is from the Tarot of the Abyss. So
the death card. Which is a good thing. People, again, that's another. That's actually a good card. It's to die to yourself and be reborn. Yeah, it's not. People see the death card, like, oh, like no, it's not. It's not bad. It's not a bad thing.
No, but that's the thing, right? Like, you were talking about how we were basically being programmed at younger ages to either accept or to essentially reject things early on without much evidence, one way or another, right? And so that kind of keeps us away from source, because, well, how do you get to source if you're only flowing in one direction, right? You have to go both ways, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it starts with that kind of separation thing, that I'm different than you, you're separate from me, my religion is better than yours, I'm superior because I have more money, and just these things that society tell us that are not true at all. We're all kind of individual glasses of water that, at the end of our lives get poured back into the ocean. Everything becomes equalized again. And so, death is far from scary. I'm not suicidal by any means, but I'm not scared of it at all. I'm looking forward to it when it comes. I've still got a lot of everyone here has a mission. If you're here, you have a mission. You got to find it. But I'm certainly not. I have no fear of death, and looking forward to it in a healthy way. I'm looking not in a suicidal way. I am not scared of it, and it's gonna be fun to get poured back into the ocean, I think.
Yeah, that's for sure. I can tell you from my own near-death experience that it is something that I'm not afraid of anymore either, and it's just more of those, like, I just want to make sure everyone around me is ready for that kind of thing, because it doesn't scare me personally. Everyone else around me, I know, is going to have a hard time with it, but for me, I'm like, oh, well, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing and everything, so it's okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but it's super hard to describe that kind of feeling and everything that's going on. But you were saying that you were having a bliss attack, so essentially that would be nirvana in a sense. Would it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's something similar to that, where you're nirvana is this state where you're no longer confined to like societal norms and have no more fear of anything, and it's just this blissful state. And yeah, that's what I would say I experienced. I like to call it my near life experience, because there's a near death experience like you had, but this was a near life experience, because it was like I was feeling what it was like to die without actually going through any sort of death. I just taken on meditating, but I wasn't even meditating at the time. I was stretching after a workout, and this energy just came over me, and it was just like, what is happening? And it just the fact that it was so unpredictable and random. Like I was doing a lot of work for it to come to that point, but then the event being so random was really cool and took me by such surprise. And I've had several of them since then, and I'm not at the point where I can just say I'm going to have a bliss attack. Like that's it's that gamma brainwave state. So I understand like scientifically what was happening in my brain, but there's no scientific explanation for why that would happen. So it happens when it happens, and when it happens, it's amazing. And I'm back in that bliss attack state. It's probably happened, that was about 4 years ago, and it's probably happened somewhere between 5 and 10 times in between, and probably not 10, probably like 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there. But every time it pushes me forward. It gives me a new vision. It gives me a new, oh, okay, this is the outlet we're going. This is where we're going, and so every time is quite transformative. But I can't just bring it on. I can't just say, okay, you can't go into meditation with expectations. The expectations are the first step towards resentment. So no expectations. No expectations. Yeah. So you can't go into, you just have to just be, we're always being human doings, and meditation gives us the chance to be a human being, and that's that's the kind of door it opens. Because if you're constantly in this state of, there's convergent focus and divergent focus, and convergent focus is what we're in right now, and it's what most people are in every day. You're on your phone, you pick up the kids, you walking the dog, your focus is converged on something worldly, and you're essentially telling Source that you're busy at that point. So the only way Source is going to get through to you is if you sit down and have that divergent focus. It's like it's a broadening of the focus. It's like if you were standing up to sitting with your nose against a brick wall, you're only going to see like a blurry shade of red. If you take a step back, you kind of, okay, there's a brick here, and you take another step back, and you'll notice there's several bricks standing on top. You take another step back. Oh, it's a wall. You take maybe another step back, and you're like, oh, this wall is attached. And then you take another step back, and you're like, oh, what was a blurry shade of red is actually a castle. And that's the divergent focus that you can achieve in meditation. But it's a practice, and it takes time to get familiar with it. Certainly, there's a lot of people say I'm bad at meditation. There's no good or bad at meditation. There's only practice and unpracticed. So, and that's it. So it's just a matter of doing it and being okay with what comes up. There's never a bad meditation. There can be uncomfortable things that come to the surface, but they need to come to the surface, because if you have to feel it to heal it, otherwise what you resist will persist. So you have to bring that up, and if it's uncomfortable, that's okay. It needed to come up. So it's just, people kind of shy away. It's like, I had a bad meditation. It's like, no, that's good. That's crap that needs to come out so you can have a good meditation. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Your subconscious will sit there and bring stuff forward for you whenever it kind of feels like you're ready for it consciously. And that's one of those things, is that if my body is deciding to do that, I, in my healing journey, have to accept that responsibility and say, all right, what is this trying to show me? What do I need to do about it so that I can actually progress? But that's kind of the thing too, is that a lot of the time that brings change, and change scares people, because maybe they don't like where it may be going, even though it's for the better, because are they the ones that say who is in the right or wrong in some aspects of things?
In terms of like change, change is the only constant is change. So and people with and this is the problem I have with things like AA and religion is there is no change. There is nothing. There is only this archaic rule system that you must live by, that we've lived by for thousands of years. In the case of AA, it's been 100 years, and there is no change. So systems like that I'm very wary of, because if you're not okay with change, there's some control issues going on there. There's that's what I've found, religion to be. I will speak freely about Christianity because I was in it for 10 years, and it was part of, AA and Christianity went together like peanut butter and jelly for me. And it did keep me sober until it didn't. I realized that Christianity for me it's like this. it's like this beautiful mansion, right? I compared to just this, there's 17 bedrooms and there's plenty of bathrooms and there's a pool and there's a game room and there's a basketball court and all these amazing things, inside. It's like life is great inside the mansion, but there's a bouncer by the door saying, no, you can't go out. You can't go out there. You don't want to go out there anyways. It's full of zombies and there's a nuclear holocaust. You don't want to leave the mansion. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's that exploring other religions, right? Things like yoga and meditation and Buddha and what other religions believe. That's taboo. That's death and destruction. And so, so I was in this mansion and it was very nice in the mansion for a few years. But then my mom got terminally ill, and she slowly passed over a year, and to see the mind and body kind of dwindle away from cancer is a very traumatizing, difficult thing. But what made it 10 times worse, 100 times worse, was that I was programmed to believe that she wasn't a Christian. She didn't go to church. She was going to hell. So that was, let me tell you, that was awful. And I probably was not fun to be around. I would be kind of a shepherd into the afterlife now and be like, Mom, your pain's going to be over. It's like taking off a tight shoe. You're going to absolutely love it, Whereas I was just terrified that she was going to spend eternity in this terrible place and just all this. And so after she passed, that's when I felt so awful. And that's when I started really questioning myself, like, you know what? I don't believe she's there. I think they're full of shit. I don't think this is what they say it is. And all this, I think this is a form of control. And I think this is, I think that, it's, that mansion I found out was built on this cracked foundation of control, fear, and judgment. And, you don't know it's there because it's the foundation, but the foundation is everything for a house. So, you're enjoying the pool and the game room and everything, but it's built on this cracked foundation, and it's this control issue that is, that they created this. I don't think Jesus would be a Christian if he came. He'd be like, you guys are missing everything I've taught. Everything. You guys are doing it all wrong. So, and that became my belief, and it became much easier for me. You can take all the amazing things, and if there's religious people out there, you can take all the amazing things from your religion and leave all the laws and dogma and fear-based shit, and now you're spiritual. And now that's a healthy relationship with Source, because you're spiritual and you're not. There are no rules. There are no. One religion is not better than the other. That's all crap. And so once you kind of get with those ideas in there and like get good with that idea, and well, now you've become spiritual now, and you're much happier because it's like now you see the unity in everything, and it's just a completely different religion and spirituality. They're just way different schools of thought, and all my joy has come from leaving religion behind and embracing spirituality.
Yeah, that is one of the things that's really hard to kind of get across to some people that don't understand that. But I'm so glad that you're bringing up a whole bunch of this stuff, because whenever I first got into recovery, what kept me out of recovery was I didn't want to have to deal with the Christian dogma, essentially, of going into AA. So I was like, I'm not going to do it. I had my whole story happen, and then I was like, well, I was told that I had to go someplace and I wasn't going to like it. I didn't know exactly where that was or anything until my cousin had called me up after the fact and was like, hey, I heard what happened. I can get you into this rehab down here. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But it was a 9-month Christian military rehab. It's the best and easiest way to describe it. Yeah, Ooh. Right? So I was like, wait a minute. And so I really didn't want to go. But I had told my higher powers and everything during my NDE that, like, hey, I'm ready to do it. Like, I'm ready to get better. I'm ready to do like what it takes. And so they said, okay, got some place for you. And then in AA, I saw the same kind of thing, is that if I didn't do it their way, if I didn't do everything just right, if I went any way out of bounds, I was going to relapse. And relapse for me means death. So I didn't want that, but I could just, it just didn't feel right, you know? So I'm so glad that someone else feels that with recovery, because that keeps a lot of people out of AA too. They don't want to do it forever if they get into it, right?
Yeah. No, and that's that control, and it is. AA is absolutely disguised Christianity. I mean, and I don't think it was Bill Wilson's fault. So if you think about it, Bill Wilson, the founder of AA, he knew that a spiritual problem like alcoholism needed a spiritual solution. Absolutely correct. And if you think about 1920s, 1930s America, the whole New Age hippie movement was 30 years away. Buddhism hadn't made its way over. You had Muslims were Muslims, Jews were Jews, and the only spiritual, if you wanted to be spiritual, you had one choice, and that's Christianity. So I don't blame him for, using a lot of the Bible and going the Christian route, because there was no other choices. I truly believe if he was alive today, he'd create something more like what I did, which is very fluid. There's no biblical thing in it at all, and it's just these things that can lead you to a better life. It's not, you talk about like such a loaded question, like do you believe in Jesus? Well, do I believe he was a person? Sure, I believe he was a person. I actually believe a lot of the miracles he did. Do I believe he was sent from source to die for our sins? No, that's ridiculous. No. I mean, if you think about that, if you gave me a really detailed, nice little figurine that you spent a lot of time on and a lot of love, and I take your figurine and I smash it on the ground and I step on it, I'm not going to expect you to give me a hug for doing that, right? Like, the whole idea of sacrifice in the Bible is just like, it's the human sacrifice. It's like, Source was the one that made it. Why would Source want you to destroy something it made? Like, it's the line between Christianity and necromancy gets kind of blurry to me. So it's just like, there's just so many things if I talk freely like this to a pastor, they don't know what to do with me. They're just like, oh.
No, they don't.
You're just hell bound, my friend. It's like, I don't believe that at all. So, but yeah, that's part of why I created the system is there's problems with AA that, and that whole idea of being powerless. You are not powerless. No one is powerless. That's crap. That's that separation between human and God when it is all one and the same. We all came from the source. We're all little expressions of source. Like a slice of pizza is still pizza, isn't it? Like it's a slice of pizza, but it's still pizza. So it's that idea it's not about letting God in, it's about letting God out. It's already there. And so that's kind of what this is just, it's something different. Because I've seen people that come into AA meetings and they feel the religious undertones. They're already religiously traumatized. They've recovering Catholics are all over the place. There's just people that have been just absolutely, fear, and it's traumatized them, and they've completely left and don't know what to do, and then to be reminded of those days when the nuns would beat them with a ruler or something is that's horrible, and so people won't get sober, and like, well, what do I do now? Because I'm not doing that again. So there needs to be other options. Mental health and recovery it's not one size fits all. So that's it's good to come up with other, and there are other things, but they're all kind of similar, and it's that separation. There's so much discrimination in AA too. It's like, if you don't have problems with alcohol, you're not welcome here, and not even just. It's like, they make you feel uncomfortable. I remember feeling very uncomfortable, like the first time I started talking about drugs, and I had someone tell me, it's just like, save your drugs for the drug meeting, and it's like. Alcohol's a drug, asshole. It's like the worst drug. Like I think the Schedule 1 narcotic, which heroin and cocaine are under, that what they say is a drug with highly addictive. It's a highly addictive substance with no medical use. What's alcohol? There's no medical use there. It's a Schedule 1 narcotic drug. Alcohol is, but you see the separation. And it's like. And everything has its own meeting now. Like, you're a gambler. We don't want to, we don't want you in our drug meetings because we don't have gambling problems. We can't understand you. Or you have sexual problems. Well, get out of our gambler meeting because we don't understand you. Like, it's all the same thing. It's all that spiritual bankruptcy, and that's what kind of the sorcery thing is. Not just for recovering alcoholics and addicts, or it's for gamblers and sex addicts, people that are addicted to the phone, people that struggle with depression or anxiety or just any of these chronic issues. You're eligible. It doesn't matter what you suffer from, as long as you're saying I suffer, it's for you. So that's It's to unify, really. It's truly to unify. And another thing I have a problem with is just the double-edged sword of the time thing in AA can be very problematic. I mean, it's good to like kind of count your days and be proud of, okay, I've been sober 30 days, a year, 2 years. But my problem was the shame I felt when I relapsed after 6 years was like, that's it, I'm done. And that brings me out to where I'm never gonna have 6 years again. I'm just not even gonna try, and I'm so embarrassed to go back. I'm filled with shame and like, so that's not cool either. So there's some issues I have with it that just haven't changed over the years, and there should be other options.
No, you're entirely right. I believe that there should be other options, and I'm glad that someone else is coming up and doing this kind of thing, because I'm only going on 4 years, my first time myself, and that's the thing, right? Like, I actually have 4 years tomorrow, so yeah.
Oh, wait, well done. Yeah.
Thank you. But that's kind of the thing, is that it took like literally dying and everything to go and say, okay, you know what, I'm ready for some kind of help, because I don't know exactly what it is I need, but there's something, right? And so now that you're having this kind of thing, you have your sorcery out there. That's the thing, is that I'm kind of feeling like it's that omnious view of recovery. It's kind of like pulling a little bit from everywhere, that makes, because you're not looking at a strand on the web, you're looking at the entire web of recovery. So exactly. Why don't you run us through what the rungs are of your sorcery real quick?
Yeah, I can absolutely do that. Yeah, and I would never tell anyone to not go to an AA meeting if they need to go. I wanted to clarify that before I get into it, because there is a community aspect to AA that is wonderful. Yes. And I really hope at some point to maybe I'd love to see like sorcerer meetings with all inclusive. It's just anyone struggling, because like, if someone has anxiety issues, you're not welcome in an AA meeting, and I think that's bullcrap. But there's a communal aspect to AA that's wonderful, and I would never say, like, if you're struggling and need to be around a group, go to an AA meeting. I'm not there. It can be both helpful and disempowering. It is both true at once. So I want to be clear, I'm not telling people not to go. So it's just, here's another option, here's something to work with it as well. If it's working for you, it's something to work with it. But the 13 rungs, just I can go through kind of briefly. It's the first rung is shadow work, which is about the other side of us, the reactor side to us, as opposed to the responder. And that's getting in touch with, the shadow's made up of traumas and limiting beliefs, and it's the side to us that we don't like so much. But it's important to be aware of it, because you are not the shadow. You are the awareness of the shadow. So it's important to kind of be aware of that. And I name my shadow. I keep it, there is a side to me. I like to say the shadow is in 3 spots in the car. It's either driving the car, it's in the passenger seat, or it's in the back seat. If the shadow is driving your car, it's always going to drive off a cliff. It's always, it's always going to drive off the cliff. And when we see people in society that they're driving their car, these are people who are non-functional in society. They're homeless. They can't hold on to a job. They have a hard time. It's maintaining themselves, taking care of themselves. Their shadow is driving the car, and it's driving it off a cliff. My shadow then moved into the passenger seat when I came to the AA Christianity thing. Well, it was still too involved in my life. It was talking to me. I had relationship problems. I had self-esteem issues. I had shame problems from the kind of fear-based system I was stuck in. And so that shadow was sitting in the car, and it wasn't driving the car because I was functional. I had a job, I had an apartment, that's great. But it was talking to me and still really affecting my life. Where you want it is in the back seat, where you're kind of checking on it. You're loving it from afar. You're kind of like, you okay back there? You doing good? Like, yeah, I'm okay. And so you're aware of it, and it's back there, but it's in the back seat, and it's not involved in your life. So that's there's all kinds of things for the shadow. The second one is called a call for inaction, which is about meditation. It is a call for inaction, not action. And so that's the importance, and that's where we get into the shadow, is mining the subconscious in the meditation. You go in there and you're going deep and you're going within, and these things are coming out, these beliefs. And so that's how you get in touch with your shadow and what your beliefs really are and what might need adjusting. And so it's the importance of meditation. The third one is surrender to serenity. So that one is about That was a term I heard in A that I just really liked, but it's about understanding human behavior better, and that we
Yeah.
are all biological computers, and so it's about understanding. We tend to get mad at someone who has scorned us, and they're such a jerk, and they're this, and they're screwed up. If you have an understanding that they just have faulty programming, like there really is no bad or good people. They're just people making choices of who they want to be. So if you're not constantly questioning your thoughts before they become your thoughts and feelings, before they become actions, you are an organic robot. That's all you are. And society is filled with it. That whole idea of NPC, programs, there's programs and users, there's this is a simulation. It is. And so there are programs out there, and to understand when you run into a program, understand what it is, and the program can only run its program. It can't do anything else. It can't run any other programs. You click on Microsoft Word, Excel is not going to pop up. It can only run the program it knows. So to understand that better is like critical in healing, like to understand people. So the fourth one is health is wealth, and that's kind of self-explanatory. It's the mind, body, spirit connection. If you're not taking care of, to pay respect to one is to pay respect to the other two. So you can't be out there and be spiritual and just eating garbage all the time. It's fine to indulge. I'm not saying like don't indulge. Like it's fine to indulge, have some ice cream once in a while. But if you're having a every night and it's overindulging and McDonald's during the day and you're just not feeding your body right, you're not out there. Physical activity, again, it's not something that has to happen every day, but it needs to happen. So taking care of your body, because feeding the mind, body, spirit triangle is all respect must be paid to all three. And then the fifth one is emotional alchemy, which is about that's an important one too. It's turning base emotions into elevated emotions through acts of consciousness and forgiveness. Obviously, hate for someone, through the act of forgiveness, which doesn't happen all at once. It's a daily thing. I feel so good to forgive all the people that I've forgiven, to not have any ill will towards people, but I still daily have to forgive the institution of Christianity because I'm still pissed at it, and it still comes up. Like even when I talk about it, like I can feel my anger for it. And at least I've done a lot of work, and at least there's a lot of people that have spurned me and scorned me, and I forgive them all because they were all programmed to do whatever they were programmed to do, and it's cool. But I still so that's a daily thing for me to have to forgive, but it's to my benefit. And so there's a lot of there's a self-help book out there called Let Them. It's the Let Them theory, and I've heard it a lot, and it's kind of this thing where you're saying to other people's behavior, just let them, like it's not going to affect me, let them. Well, I think how you alchemize emotions is to take that a little bit step further. And so if you're thinking about if you're jealous with someone, or you're feeling hurt by someone, study them. This way that the emotion can become kind of, instead of just like saying no, well, that's good, and it's you're not letting it affect you, but you're also losing your connection to all other humans. You're just like you're losing that connection. So it's really important to create unity, and so studying, getting curious about the human condition, can help alchemize those base emotions, jealousy, fear, those kind of base emotions you're feeling by getting curious. So that's something that I like to do. The sixth one, that's comfort and discomfort. So that's a tough one for any human. I have a hard time getting in uncomfortable situations, but the truth is no growth happens within the comfort zone. It's a beautiful place and we need it, but nothing grows there. So I love my couch time and hanging out with my dog and watching kind of fun TV that's like not necessarily growing, and we all need that. But if that's what you're constantly doing, you need to ask yourself what you're feeding yourself, because and getting in comfortable situations that are just like, I'd rather be doing something else, but it's for your own growth. Constantly, at least once a week, you need to get someplace really uncomfortable, a situation that you're like, I don't want to do this. It could be like, speaking at a wedding or something. That's a great time for growth, because if you do something, you get up there and you do it, Source will get you high afterwards. You'll feel a high. That's when you do something uncomfortable. Cold plunges are a big one for me. That's so uncomfortable, but I get this, and I get this rush and high afterwards. It's like, wow, I'm glad I sucked it up and did that. So it's to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations, which is easier said than done. I understand that. The seventh one, hold on, let me see here. I'm losing place here. That's attention to intention. So that's a big one. If you're not intentional about your life and constantly focusing on what you want to happen next, your subconscious will bring out what you're subconsciously asking for. So you have to consciously know what you're asking for and call it in, because otherwise your subconscious will call it. And that's how people, kind of the rich get rich and the poor stay poor, because like it's that subconscious, like you're creating these things without really knowing it. So no one's ever at fault for bad things that happen, but it's because what you don't know. But to know that, and to know that you have a choice, and that life doesn't have to just happen to you. You are the projector, and you are the projector. So, and if you think about a projector, it doesn't care what movie you play. Like if you put in, the best movie, or you put in the worst movie, it doesn't care what you play. It's going to play it. So what you're projecting out is a huge deal. And so focus is on intention. The eighth one is goats over sheep. People love this one. So goats over sheep. So goats, the acronym, greatest of all time. And sheep being what we deal with in most of society. Sheep are very easily hurtable. They are lost without the shepherd. They need something outside of them to be able to, understand or go in direction. They need to be told what to do because they're sheep. Goats, on the other hand, and although it's an acronym, greatest of all time, I love that the animal itself too is kind of this unhurtable, doesn't give a crap, gonna do whatever it wants to do animal. So it works perfectly for this. But when you think about the greatest of all time, it's not to to get an ego about it, but anyone who's done something great doesn't listen to other people. They have a focus of what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And you can listen to other people, but in the end, and other people can have great ideas, and it's not to say don't listen to anybody, but you'll have some people that give you some great tidbits of information, but you're always going to have people that want to hold you back and pull you back, and they could be jealous, or they can just they could just be energy vampires and just like trying to like bring you down and suck out your energy. And so goats do not allow the energy vampires in. You can listen to them and kind of phase them out, but you can't absorb it. Goats do not absorb that that stuff. They have a vision and they have a goal. So you to be a sorcerer, you need that mind of a goat. So that's goats over sheep. The ninth, Follow Your Bliss, a term by Joseph Campbell. I get into Joseph Campbell a lot in that one, the kind of hero's journey, and how important it is to find what you love and follow it, and just continue to act on your passion. And when you find your passion, take it as far as you can for as long as you can until you can take it no more. So it's about following your passion and acting on it, and seeing where it leads. It may not lead to billions of dollars or whatever, but you're going to be happier. And find what your passion is. It's the flow state, whatever puts you in the flow state, where time disappears. Time's not real anyways. But we feel time, and we know it's not real because we feel it in different ways. Like, oh my gosh, an hour went by, like felt like 5 minutes. So you're kind of in that flow state, and to find that and just follow it. So follow your bliss. I also talk about simulation theory in that one. We are in a simulation, but it is your simulation. It is a projection of whatever it is. We're in this. Like a flight simulator, if you think there's a clear purpose for a flight simulator, and it's to learn how to fly, and then to in an unconsequential atmosphere, to bring that into the quote real world, and that's how pilots fly. Well, here that skill we're learning is love, because it is the one thing we will both leave here and take with us to the other side. So it's what It's the skill we're trying to learn. That is why we're here, and we're trying to get better at it. So people get freaked out of the simulation theory, and there's nothing to be freaked out about. It's your projection, it's your simulation, and you're here to learn how to love. So start doing it. And the 10th one was rose-colored glasses. So I put rose-colored contacts. I made it a little bit, didn't be clever with it. Rose-colored contacts. It's perception, how you perceive the world. You know, we're just it is everything, and you know, it's so important, the perception, how we're seeing things, and because how, you know, reality happens through us, not to us. So how we're perceiving the world around us is critical for mental health. I mean, you know, if you think the world is falling apart, the world is falling apart, you know. So it's a matter of changing that perspective, and to have the less catastrophizing kind of perspective on life, and to start seeing things in a better light, and start seeing people and humans in a different way, and changing the outlook. It's a big deal. 11th is instinct versus intuition. Very different. Very different. So people don't understand that they use them interchangeably. They're very different things. Instinct is more of a fear-based emotion. Survival. We absolutely need it, but we don't need it very much anymore. When that kind of fear kicks in, and most people's instincts are running on overdrive because of trauma. So the instinct is working against us. So that it's that fight or flight that we're always feeling. Our outside world and our inside worlds aren't matching when we have PTSD. And that is that, you know, the soldier coming back from the war that's emotionally still in the battlefield, but physically is, you know, in his apartment, and having these reactions to something that isn't there. Well, their instinct is turned on overdrive. They might, you know, hear, you know, fireworks, and that's going to send them back to this image of the battlefield, but there's nothing going on. So, you know, I like to compare it to, you know, if you're walking home from work and, you know, there's a car coming by with a gun hanging out. This is an instinctual time to jump into a bush and get away. Your instinct says, danger, run, and perfect. That's what it's there to do. But if you don't process that and deal with it in a healthy way, well, now you're going to get home and you're going to be all sweaty, and you're not going to want to leave again. And every time you walk home from work, now you're jumping into the bush, every car that's coming by, because you haven't processed that well enough. And then you're going to get home and shut yourself in and never want to leave again. So we know a lot of people out there, the intuition, and there's intuition training in the book, how to get in touch with your intuition, your higher self, which is the player character in the simulation, the one that's controlling. If you don't have a contact with it, you're programmed. So it's getting in contact and trusting and knowing the difference between the instinctual voice and the intuition voice. And you do this by training yourself, by asking questions on, like, you know, little things at first, and then building up questions. There's a whole thing in here about like how to build up this voice, which is now a huge part of my day-to-day life. And I know the difference, and the intuition is constantly leading me towards better and better things, because you know, we can take the route that, you know, like we want to take, and the instinct leads us this way, and we're supposed to intuitively take the other way. You know, Source will recalculate just like it does with, you know, Apple Maps or something. It'll recalculate. But the easier, softer way is, I'd rather take that way. And to know that, okay, that's the way I need to take, and to know and trust that voice we should be teaching it to kids, you know, at 3 and 4 years old in school. That's what we should be doing, but we're not. We're blowing it. So, getting in touch with that voice, huge. So there's steps in there, like how to do that, and it's amazing that comes through. And then the 12th one is called That Chakra Life, which, you know, it's just about the importance of understanding the chakras, understanding what they are, what their purpose is, if they're misaligned, you know, to, you know, be open to energy healers that you can go see, and they kind of take the pendulum and see so it's just information of the chakras, and that they are real, and that it's and they're how critically important they are. And then the 13th one is called Assist Leader, which is I took a page out of AA's book, because they're right. You know, it's the sponsorship thing, you know, taking on an apprentice. You know, we need, you know, the Bible says, as iron sharpens irons, no one person is helping the other more. It may seem like, you know, maybe I have a better grasp on things than someone I see, like a spiritual Sherpa business, you know, if one-on-one sessions with people, it might seem like I'm helping them more, but that's not true. They're helping me just as much. And so it is that back and forth kind of exchange, and, you know, you just need to program these concepts into our brains, and that's how you do it, is by teaching them. that's how it really gets ingrained. You can kind of read over something like a book, but until you start acting and living and helping others, and the joy that comes with seeing someone that's open grow. I love AA's, attraction over promotion. I believe in that completely for something like Sorcery. It is never to shove in people's faces ever. It's to attract, and when people are open to change, that's a great time to kind of pounce and be like, well, I've got some stuff, and so that's helping you as much as it's helping them. So that's kind of the assist leader. I like basketball. Assist in basketball is one guy helping out the other and to leading to the other to make a score. So that's kind of where that came from. But that's the 13, man. That's the 13.
Yeah, man. Those are really, really powerful, just rungs, as you call them, because we're able to sit there and go in between them as we need to. And I think that is beautiful, because if we don't do that, like, working the steps has always been kind of funny, because I sat there and the first time through them, I was like, man, this is kind of weird. But then after getting to the base of it and everything, I was like, oh, these are just like essentially a spiritual roadmap of like how to better your spiritual health, And so I was like, so if other people did this, even if they weren't struggling with addiction, they would actually be doing a lot better, So you actually came up with something that's like, hey, you don't have to be worrying about addiction per se. You want to get better. You want to deal with your mental health. You want to do with this and go back to source, right? So
it's the symptom. The addiction is simply the symptom of the spiritual malady. So it's not to focus on. That's why it's AA focuses on the symptom. This is just very fluid. You move in between them, and there's no symptom. There's no focus on the symptom. It doesn't matter what you suffer from. If you're struggling, it works.
And it's just amazing work that you've thrown together, because there's a lot of truth in everything, but at the same time, it's so hard to get all of this crammed in 1 hour. I've got a question real quick. Do you think that we can see you on in the future? Because we're close to the end of this one. And I know that I have so many questions, and I'd love to dive into it. And in my head, I'm like, if you're up for it, I would love to even do like an episode per wrong. Kind of like do a real deep dive on that. That would be really fun.
No, I'm down for it for sure. I know we're at the end of this one, but there's a lot to dive into. There's a whole lot. Like, I'm at the very beginning of this, and I've been thinking about things like webinars or whatever on each one, and things are still coming together. It's because it's so new, but I'm open to whatever, certainly. And this is my flow. This is my follow my bliss. So I love doing it. This is where we're at an hour. It felt like 5 minutes. So this is something that I said, follow your bliss, find your flow. This is what I do. So absolutely.
Sweet. Because like I said, I've got a ton of questions, but one of them is, Justin, the name of this show is Retrieving Sanity, and we explore how all facets of living life impact mental health. Looking at the incredible motley adventures of your life, what does retrieving sanity personally mean to you today, and what's one practice or perspective that you believe is crucial for anyone on that journey?
Yeah, good question. So, I have to retrieve my sanity every morning because I seem to lose it overnight. My health, both mental and physical, is a sandcastle, and so the sandcastle, you can have the most elegant, amazing, beautiful sandcastle, but if you're not maintaining it daily, you can miss a day, a couple days, whatever. But after a week, it's going to start to fall apart, and 2 weeks, it's gone. So and that's how I view my health. So that's how I have to get up every day and find my sanity. That is in the non-negotiable morning routine of, I do half an hour of yoga and half an hour of meditation, and then I'll watch something. I have this app which is it's called Gaia, and it's like Netflix for consciousness. And there's so much stuff on there that you can learn and grow. So I watch an hour of that. So my 2 hour morning routine is non-negotiable, and that is how I retrieve my sanity. Because I lose it overnight. It's amazing. Everything I built in the day, I wake up in the morning, it's gone. I gotta find it again.
You put it so well, but you're just entirely right. Because I've looked at recovery as in I'm constantly having to remake myself. But you just put it so well with the sandcastle thing, because you never know whenever a giant wave's going to come along and just like wipe all your hard work away. So,
and that can happen too. You can not maintain it, which will happen slowly, but then you can have something happen that just wipes it away and you got to start all over. So that can happen too. That's much more rare, but it does happen, and at that point sometimes you just got to start over. But the easiest way is to keep maintaining.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that myself, I was in that state of like, all right, I'll make it look pretty and I'll leave it alone forever because it's there, so it should be fine, right? And then come back, it's gone, I'm wondering where the hell it went. But now being conscious and being intentful with everything seems to be doing a lot of wonders, and I would love to really just figure out what it is that people can do for themselves in some way, shape, or form. But we can all speak about that in the next episode, correct?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we can definitely do that for sure.
I forgot to ask though, where can people find you and where can they find your book?
Oh yes, okay, yes, yeah, this is good stuff. First of all, if you can't afford to buy it, I will gladly send you a free e-code for a free ebook or a PDF or something, because I just want to get this information out there and I want to help get people get better. So you can email me at sorcerer with a U 13 at gmail if you want a free copy. Otherwise, it is on Amazon for physical purchase. It just got on Audible like a week ago. So I recorded it in my closet in Phoenix in summer, and you can imagine what that was like. So I'm sweating in a dark room, and because the acoustics is better in a closet. So it's a funny story, but being a former stand-up comedian, I get to tell my own jokes in the book. There's a lot of humor. We take trauma healing lightly in this book because it can be funny. It doesn't have to be serious. So I do my impersonation. So it's on Audible too, for those that don't have time to sit down and write a book, but it's on Amazon Audible. I was off social media for 4 years. It was a glorious 4 years, but I got back on a couple months ago because it's part of the deal. So, but I'm only on Instagram because I have Facebook PTSD. I seriously, I can't do it anymore. So I'm just not going to do it. But Instagram is sorcerer_13 with a U. So that's the Instagram. And then the website, you can always go there. It's www.awakenthesorcerer.com with you.
Ooh. Perfect. I love that. And Justin, I just got to say thank you for being on the show today. And thank you for doing what you do for the world, because it's just going to cause such a huge ripple that it's going to be undeniable at some point, So I'm excited to see where it's going to go. And I'm just excited to watch this explode, because it'll explode almost overnight, I bet.
I'm certainly hoping for. Yeah, and I don't mind coming back on and we can kind of do some stuff together. It sounds cool, but I'm looking forward to getting it out there. I wrote the book for me, but it can help a whole lot of people, so I'm excited.
Heck yeah. Well, Justin, again, thank you for being on the show, and everyone out there, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. And as always, try to love yourself, try to love others if you can, but you gotta love yourself first if you want to do that first other one. And we'll be here next week. We'll be checking out, just how to get better as we continue our path of healing and recovery. So, with that being said, much love, Don.
Peace.